Okay, we're live. Welcome. I'm going to give a few minutes for people to log on live. If you're watching the recording, welcome. A big welcome to you. Today, we're going to be sharing the 7 habits of highly successful seducers. Okay, so today you're going to learn how to get unstuck. If you've been bumping up against an invisible wall with women and you feel like you've tried everything, you've tried really hard, you're not really sure what you should learn anymore or who you should turn to anymore, and you're just kind of feeling like kind of frustrated, then this class is for you. This is going to be a 5-part class, 4 or 5, I'm not sure. But let's say it's going to be a 5-part class. So today is part 1 of 5. So make sure you tune in for the following calls, which will also be live. And, I'm going to announce them. So keep your eye out for my YouTube posts. I got something happening here in the background. Let me close that. Okay. While we're waiting for everybody to log in, please let me know if you can hear me okay, if I'm coming through clearly. That would be greatly appreciated. So, today is part 1 of 5 of the 7 habits of highly successful seducers. So, like I was saying before, this course is going to teach you the exact 7 habits that you need to implement into your game if you want to guarantee success in this game. Here's what you need to understand. Success follows predictable patterns. Success leaves clues. These 7 habits, these 7 patterns are the exact 7 habits that got me to break through and become successful with women. They're the exact 7 habits that I have seen that all great seducers have in common that cause them to become successful with women. And these are the exact 7 habits that I have been teaching my students and helping my students implement for the past 10 plus years. So it worked for these great seducers, it worked for me, it worked for my students, and so it will work for you too if you implement what we're going to learn here. Okay? So, first thing we're going to talk about is hello Miles. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is trying harder. Okay? Trying harder. And just give me a second. I'm going to pull something up. I forgot to pull it up. While I'm pulling this up, feel free to drop me a comment and just say something. Say hello. Say where you're from. We're also going to do Q&A at the end of this. So stick around till the end and I'll answer your questions as well at the end of this call. So just bear with me. I'm just opening a file here and I'm going to read you something. I'm going to read you a little story that is really going to make you think. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so let me just make sure you guys are here. There's the small window. There's the big window. Oh, that's useful. Okay, so here's the story. I'm sitting in a quiet room at the Millcroft Inn, a peaceful little place hidden behind the pine trees, about an hour out of Toronto. It's just past noon, late July, and I'm listening to the desperate sounds of a life or death struggle going on just a few feet away. There is a small fly burning out the last of its short life's energies in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of a window pane. The winding wings tell the poignant story of the fly's strategy. Try harder, but it's not working. The frenzied effort offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is a part of the trap. It is impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed at breaking through the glass. Nevertheless, this little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. This fly is doomed to die. It will die there on the windowsill. Now across the room, 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time and this small creature could reach the outside world it seeks. With only a fraction of the effort now being wasted, it could be free of this self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibility is there. It would be so easy. Why doesn't the fly try another approach? Something dramatically different? How did it get so locked into the idea that this particular route and determined effort offers the most promise for success? What logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? No doubt this approach makes sense to the fly. Regrettably, it is an idea that will kill. Trying harder isn't necessarily the solution to achieving more. It may not offer any real promise for getting what you want out of life. Sometimes, in fact, it's a big part of the problem. If you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances for success. Okay? So that's from the book U Squared by Price Pritchett. Okay? So let's talk about that for a second. Hey, the Frenchman is here. My wingman from Vancouver, Stefan. Hey, buddy. So let's talk about this for a second. Obviously, this is an analogy for our lives. Maybe you feel like the fly inside this game. Maybe you feel like the fly where you keep trying harder and harder, but you're still not getting the results you want with women. The first lesson for today is for you to realize that trying harder and being more determined isn't the solution to getting unstuck with women and to getting this woman thing handled. Okay? What you need to do instead, like the fly, you need to stop banging your head up against the wall. And what you need to do is change your strategy. So you have come to think that this woman thing, this game is really hard because like the fly, you've been banging up your head against an invisible barrier, right? But what I'm here to tell you is that all you need to do is make a shift. Okay? All you need to do is make a shift. You need to shift your strategy. So just like the fly could shift its strategy and fly out the door that's wide open with much less effort, you can shift your strategy and get good with women using these 7 habits of highly successful seducers that I'm going to teach you. And also, you will get success with women with much less effort, just like many of my dozens of clients are now experiencing because they are implementing these 7 habits of highly successful seducers. So let's take a second. Okay, we have Dallas, Texas. Willie, nice to see you. Stefan from Vancouver. Rodolfo's here. Wow, there's a big delay on the comments. Miles is here. Rodney's here. Killabug is here. Okay, cool. Okay, so habit number 1 of highly successful seducers is that they don't try harder, they don't work harder, they work smarter. Okay? I want you to remember looking out and thinking, you've definitely had this thought of like some guy that gets a lot of women and you look at him and you're like, it's so unfair. This guy, he's not even trying, and it seems like he's getting all these women. I'm trying my ass off, and I'm not getting any women. Who can relate to that? Drop a comment. Okay, even if you're on a recording, drop a comment. I read the comments after even after on the recording. Okay, how many times have you felt like that? That guy's not even really trying, yet he's getting a lot more success than me, or he's getting the really hot women and I'm not. Okay, so Einstein says you cannot solve a problem from the same level of thinking that you created that problem. Okay, you cannot solve a problem from the same level of thinking that it was created. Okay, you need to think on a new level. All right, and these 7 habits that I'm going to give you is that thinking on that different level. You cannot solve your problem on the current level of thinking you're at. You need to realize your way of thinking is what's keeping you stuck. Okay, let's say that again. Your way of thinking is what's keeping you stuck. Your current strategy of being more determined and trying harder is part of the problem. It is what's keeping you stuck. Let's say that again. Your current strategy of trying harder and being more determined is part of the problem. You need to elevate your thinking above the level of where the problem was created and think differently. And then by thinking differently, you're going to act differently. And don't worry, you're not going to have to figure any of this out. I'm going to give you the exact 7 habits, the 7 ways of thinking and acting that you need. Okay. And these are proven. Okay. Everything I teach you is field tested and proven by myself, as well as my observations of the greatest seducers, as well as my 10 plus years of successful students who came to me unsuccessful. And then I gave them these principles and now they're successful. And every day I'm coaching guys and every day we're getting breakthroughs with guys. Okay. So this is field tested, proven stuff that I'm giving you, not theory. Give me a second to look up another quote for you. I should have prepared this before, but okay. You never change. Okay, so listen. Okay, Buckminster Fuller. Listen to this. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Let's say that again. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Okay? Listen to the words here. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. Stop fighting your existing reality. Fighting the existing reality means you never change things by trying harder. Okay? The fly was fighting the existing reality of the glass, right? You're fighting the existing reality of your glass wall because you're trying harder and being more determined. That strategy is admirable, but it does not work. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. The 7 habits of highly successful seducers is that new model that you're going to learn. Okay? And then you're going to have the breakthrough. My objective for you is to have a breakthrough with women so that you finally succeed. Okay? And you stop hitting yourself, your head against the wall. Okay? So, this brings us to the first habit of highly successful seducers. Now, before I tell you this, let me tell you where this is coming from. When we're talking about highly successful seducers, what we're saying is these men started just like everyone else, and they figured out the game. Whereas most guys, 90 to 95% of the men never really figure out the game. Or they get kind of average, but they don't really master the game. So what we're talking about here is, what did these men do to become successful in seduction? Okay, so this is very specific what I'm telling you here. All right? The first habit that every man, including myself, including all my students who I've coached who are now successful, every man, the first habit he has had is he adopted the right strategy. Okay? Habit number one, if you're taking notes, is you need to use the right strategy. Thanks for chiming in, Stefan. Take care. Okay? Said in another way, habit number one is using proven principles to get where you want. Okay? Working smarter, not harder. Okay? So habit number one is you need to use proven principles that work. All right? So use the right strategy. Habit number one is use the right strategy. Now, some of you are going to argue, hey, Jad, I already have a strategy. I don't need a strategy. If you're not getting the results you want with women, the quality of women you want, whatever it is that you want with women, if you're not getting that, then by definition, that proves that you don't have the right strategy. Let's say that again. If you're not getting the results you want, that proves that you don't have the right strategy. So you need to come to this workshop and these 5 days humble and like an empty cup. Okay? If you come here and say, I already know everything, whatever, okay, log out. Fine, don't listen, right? But I can tell you it's mathematical. If you're not getting the results, you have the wrong strategy. As convinced as you are that you have the right strategy and all you need to do is try harder, if you've been stuck for 2 years or more, you have the wrong strategy. So you got to get humble, okay? Let me tell you a parable. So there was a student sitting with the master, okay? And then they were going to drink tea. So the student was sitting there and the master was pouring the tea. So the master started pouring the tea into the student's cup. And then it got to the brim. And then he didn't stop. And then it started overflowing. And he still didn't stop. The master still didn't stop. He kept pouring. And the student looked up and he said, the cup is full. The cup is full. Stop. The cup is full. Right? And then the master said, I've been trying to teach you, but you've been rejecting my teaching because your cup is already full. In order to be a good disciple and a good student, you must come with an empty cup. Okay? So right now, I want you to take your cup that you think you know what the strategy is, and take a slice of humble pie. You're a guy, you have an ego. We all have big egos as guys, okay? Admit that your strategy isn't working. Eat that humble pie, empty that cup, and be an empty cup for the rest of this conversation. If you trust your brother Jad, who you know since 2011 has had your back, you will trust that what I'm about to tell you, the remaining 6 habits are proven principles that if you follow, paint by numbers, if you follow step by step, you will get the result you want. Okay? That's my promise to you. As long as your brain is working fine, then that's my promise to you. Okay? As long as you're a healthy, average, regular guy, then if you follow these next 6 habits, 6 principles, I guarantee you will get your results. Okay? So, if you're live or watching the recording, drop me a comment, empty cup, humble pie. Empty cup, humble pie. Hit me in the comments. While I'm waiting for the comments, I will share another thing that was told to me by a double black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master. I was having a conversation with him and I asked him, what's the most important quality in a student that you can determine that, okay, this student is going to be one of my best students? Okay. You know what the number one quality he said was? You could also drop a comment if you want to guess. Now, I apologize. My comments are coming in delayed, but I will see them. He said the number one trait I look for that will determine which student will become one of the best students in the class: humility. Humility. So, if you're an empty cup, if you're going to be humble, if you're going to have humility and follow my instructions, man, this workshop can literally change your love life. Literally. Okay? So, habit number 1. All great seducers are humble enough to use a proven strategy. Okay? And this brings us to something else. We're still in habit number 1 here that I just remembered. I'm going to add this. I've coached a lot of guys, both group coaching programs as well as one-on-one. And one funny thing that I found, and I also found this in myself, and I'll tell you a little story in a second. One thing I found is that, here, let me start like this. There's a joke. Let's see if you know the joke. What's the first thing a man does when he brings an IKEA bookshelf home to assemble? What's the first thing he does? What's the joke? What's the first thing a man does when he brings an IKEA bookshelf home? Okay. What's the first thing a man does? He throws out the instructions. Okay, that's the joke. What's the first thing a man does when he brings an piece of IKEA furniture home? He throws out the instructions. It turns out that we men are terrible at following instructions. Okay. So what I found in my coaching is I would tell my clients, hey, here's the exact answer to your problem. Here's the step-by-step thing you need to do to fix this problem. Go and do this, okay? And the student will be like, okay, you promise? I promise. Then a few weeks later, I follow up with them. Hey, Joe, are you doing that thing that I told you to do in exactly the way I told you to do it? And the answer I get very often is, not really, sorta, kinda, okay? They don't follow the instructions. And then I'm like, well, that's why you're still struggling with this piece, because you didn't listen to me. You didn't follow the instructions. And so I have to give them a lecture and then say, pretty please, with a cherry on top, follow the damn instructions. Okay? So what you need to understand about yourself as a man, and a reason why you're not getting the level of success you want with women so far, this is more humble pie for you. Listen, the reason why you haven't gotten success so far, even though you've watched a bajillion videos and read books and all that, maybe even gone to some boot camps, you're terrible at following the instructions. You're a man and you suck at following instructions. I suck at following instructions. We as men suck at following instructions. So we're given a roadmap, or we're given principles, we're given step-by-step instructions, something that's proven, that's field tested, that works. We take it, we say, okay, but let's change this here, and let's leave that out because I don't really like it, and let's modify this. And then we go out and we try hard like the fly, and then we don't get the result, and then we say, oh, I suck. I must not be cut out for this. When really, what really happened is you left out pieces of the recipe. You left out pieces of the recipe. You messed up the recipe. It's like me giving you a cake recipe. And this is the best cake in the world. It is an award-winning cake. When you make this cake and you have a movie night and you serve this cake to your guests, they're all going to be like, oh my God, you're a genius chef. You're the best chef. Oh my God, right? Just follow the recipe. And then me as a man, okay, I'll do that. And I go and I'm like, you know what? I don't think that's enough sugar. Let me add some more sugar. You know what? There's only a bit of cinnamon there. Let me add a bit more cinnamon. You know what? they said to put this much icing. I'm going to double the icing. I'm going to make this thing really beautiful. Then I serve it to my guests, and they're like, oh, they're like, pretend to like it, but it's really not a good cake because I messed with the recipe. So back to habit number 1. Why so few men are successful in money, in life, and in the game is because the majority of the population of men don't follow instructions. Can you admit that to yourself? Can you laugh at yourself like I'm laughing at myself? Okay, let me give you another example to really drive this home. I know I may be repeating a bit, but I want you to remember this for the rest of your life so you never forget it, so you never make this mistake, because we're still on habit number 1. And if you mess up habit number 1, all the rest of the instructions are going to mean 0 because you're not going to follow them, or you're going to modify them, and you're going to stay stuck, and you're going to forget. You're going to think it's your fault when really you just didn't follow the instructions, and then you're going to blame yourself, and you're going to get depressed, and then you're going to give up, and then you're never going to have an abundance of women. We don't want that chain reaction, and that's why we're spending some time on habit number 1. So, the final way I made the other story where I made this discovery that men are terrible at following instructions. Because of my line of work, I have been, I've had to learn internet marketing and sales and stuff like that, right? So I've been part of, a good number of internet marketing group coaching programs where we get on Zoom, and those internet programs, if you're familiar with it, they got a lot of students, man. You go on Zoom, there are 50, 100 people. There are a lot of people there, right? And so what I found after like being part of like 3 different groups is, towards the end of the program, you have people coming and saying, hey, I implemented what we learned in the course, and here's my result. And here I'm already starting to get results, and I'm getting these outstanding results, right? That would happen at the end of each of these programs. And a funny pattern started to emerge. Well, I noticed a funny pattern after the 3rd course I was in. So these are 3 completely different courses over a period of a year or 2. The majority of people that were coming up on Zoom and saying, oh yeah, well, I'm already getting the result. I'm implementing this system. I'm getting a result. The majority of them were what? I'll see if you can guess. What were they? They were mostly women. They were mostly women, right? So then I said, wait a sec. Why is it that all these in separate courses, it's mostly women that are getting the fastest and best results? At first, it's like, this doesn't make sense. But then I remembered how, my students aren't how I was frustrated because my clients weren't following my instructions exactly as I gave them. And then I'm like, oh, I get it. Women are probably have less ego in terms of following instructions, and women just tend to follow instructions. Whereas men, we like to tinker with the system and say, oh, okay, well, let me kind of adjust it here, right? So women are better at following instructions than men. That's my scientific conclusion, okay? And men, from the evidence I've seen across, being part of group coaching programs as well as running group coaching programs and one-on-one, I would say, in my experience, men, including myself, we need to always remind ourselves that we're really not good at following instructions. And because we tinker with the instructions, that's why we delay our success or we don't get the success at all. Okay? So habit number 1 is use the right, successful seducers, successful men, they use the right strategy and they follow the instructions. Okay? Write that down. Use the right strategy, follow the instructions. I say this in a joking way, pretty please with a cherry on top. Follow the damn instructions. Okay? So maybe you can say that to yourself. Pretty please with a cherry on top. follow the damn instructions. Okay? It's for your own good. Okay, give me a second to look at my notes. Like I said at the end of this call, if you're live, you'll be able to answer questions. If you missed the live and you're going to be on the next call, you can bring your questions too. It'd be my pleasure to help answer them. Okay. I'm going to leave it at this because the next topic I'll have to go deep, and that'll probably take too much of your focus. And also my focus. So tomorrow we'll start clean with the next topic. Okay, so being that I'm stopping here, this is going to be a 5-day workshop. Okay, and I'll repeat what I'm about to teach you. The remaining 6 habits, the remaining 6 principles I'm about to teach you are heavily, daily. This is what's working now with my clients. Okay, you're getting this for free. The 6 remaining principles and habits that I'm going to teach you are going to metaphorically be the key that unlocks you from your cage and allows you to have abundance and freedom with women. It allows you to start dating, attracting and dating the quality and quantity of women that you want. Okay? Now, if you would like me to audit your strategy, if you have a strategy and you're like, you know what, Jad, I want to know what I'm doing wrong in my strategy, then you can see the link down there. It says free strategy audit. Okay. You can go to calljad.com and book a free 15-minute call. Okay. Where I will audit your strategy. Okay. You can tell me, hey, Jad, this is my strategy for getting good with women. What do you think? And I'll tell you, okay, here are the holes in your strategy. This is a good strategy. This is a bad strategy. This is a terrible strategy. This is a good strategy, but here are 2 pieces you're missing. And I will I will help you complete the strategy you need in order to guarantee yourself success in this area with women. So if you want a free strategy audit, you can go to calljad.com and apply for a free 15-minute session with me, okay? Go to calljad.com and apply for a free strategy audit. A strategy audit is we're going to audit the strategy you're using right now to get women into your life. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, that's a good strategy, or nah, man, that's bad, and here's what you're doing wrong, and here's what you're doing wrong, and here's what you need to change. So go to calljad.com and apply for a free strategy audit. Even if you're watching this as a recording, you can still go to calljad.com and apply for a free strategy audit session. So I will allow for a minute or 2 if anyone has any questions about anything, okay? Women related, of course, man related. I'll wait for the comments to come through. If anyone asks a question, I will wait about a minute. And while I'm waiting to see if there are any questions, just a reminder in case you just signed in, this is going to be a 5-day workshop where I teach you the exact 7 principles, the 7 habits that have been proven on dozens of men as well as on myself to get you from being stuck to consistently attracting and dating the women that you're truly attracted to. You see, what Jad is concerned with is getting you the women you really want, okay? Not just any women. I know a lot of you guys can get some women, but I want you to get the top of the top. I want you to get the exact women you want, the women that you're extremely attracted to. So the 7 habits of highly successful seducers is going to show you the step-by-step proven framework that is working right now on my clients, as well as has worked for the past 10 plus years on all my past clients, which also worked with me, which also worked with every successful seducer I have observed and studied. Once you implement these 7 habits, you too will be crowned a successful seducer and be able to get the level of success you want in this game. Okay, so I don't think any comments are coming through. I'll wait just a little longer in case there's an extra super delay.